Got it now. Turning the music back on. We're good now. Okay, I know what I had going. My bad. Okay. All right. We didn't waste too much time. We still got almost an hour left. So here we go. Let's come onto our backs. Knees bent, feet on the floor. You might already be here, so great. But have your knees fall into touch and let your feet come out a little bit wider, maybe to the edges of your mat. Arms down to your sides, palms face up. Try to lengthen your tailbone down towards your heels. We'll just get started in class this way. This is our constructive rest. And just start to settle your breathing as you start to transition into your practice here. Thank you for working with the technical difficulties to start. We should all be set now. Just try and take some nice, slow, deep breaths. And I'll invite you today for practice. We will be moving. This is a level 2 practice to start inhaling and exhaling just through your nose. So try to keep your lips closed. Begin inhaling through the nose, filling up the chest, the lungs expand, ribs expand. And exhale through the nose. Let the belly fall, ribs fall, navel comes down. And see if you can maintain that kind of breathing throughout practice. What that will help is build a little bit of heat, and in our movements and the poses that we hold today might allow you to deepen into some of your stretches and some of your holds. At the same time, while it builds heat, reducing the volume of air that can flow in and out at one time helps to reduce your heart rate as well. It's always nice to try that type of breathing. Just take 2 more deep breaths here. One more breath. Okay, if your eyes were closed, you can gently blink your eyes open. Walk your feet back in the hips with distance. Separate your knees out slightly. And then draw your knees into your chest. Wrap your hands around your shins. If your hands don't quite reach there, you can wrap your hands around your thighs. And just gently draw your knees into your chest. Your knees can either be together or slightly separated, about hips width distance. Let's gently rock from side to side, massaging our low back. So we just kind of released our low back in that constructive rest, and now we're giving it a little bit of a massage. All right, let's come back to stillness. Keep hugging your right knee in. Let's extend and straighten that left leg straight out. Release the left heel to the mat for now. And draw the right knee in toward your chest as you press that left heel away from your body. Try to draw that inner left thigh in and down towards the mat. And by flexing both toes, they point up to the ceiling along with the knee. Stay for one more breath here. And let's switch. So draw the left knee in, extend and straighten that right leg straight out. Release the right heel to the mat. Flexing both toes and spinning that inner right thigh in and down, keeping the knee facing up towards the sky. Drawing that left knee in toward your chest as you extend that right heel away from your body. Just one more breath here. And now we'll switch again. So drawing the right knee in. This time when you re-extend that left leg, hover the heel an inch or two off the mat. So same thing here. We're drawing that right knee in, extending that left heel away, but this time the left heel is hovering. So you're beginning to engage the muscles in your legs, trying to draw the kneecap up, that left kneecap up towards the hip, really engaging the quadricep and the hamstrings here. Try to keep your shoulders rooted on the mat. Stay for one more breath. And we'll switch to the other side. Left knee draws in, right leg extends, and flexing both feet, hovering the heel an inch or two off the mat. Leg is nice and straight. You're still actively spinning that inner right thigh in and down while drawing that right knee and quadricep up in towards the hip. It really engages the muscles in the legs. Start to hug that navel in and down as well. Use your abdominal muscles to hold here. Just for one more breath. All right, we'll switch one more time. We'll draw the right knee in, extend that left leg straight out, hovering the left heel, inch or two off the mat. But this time, wrap your hands around your right thigh and begin to extend that left leg up to the sky. So both legs are straight. Left leg hovers an inch or two off the mat. Bottom of the right foot up towards the sky. If this is just too much for you now, just stay here with the bent knee in your right leg. Otherwise, try to draw that right thigh towards your chest. Still pressing that left heel away from your body. One more breath. And we'll gently switch. Right knee in, left knee in, then re-extend that right leg straight out. Hover that right heel. Same options now with your left leg. Straightening the left leg while you hold behind the left thigh. And keep flexing both feet, spinning that inner right thigh in and down. Bottom of the left foot faces up towards the sky. Or you can keep that left knee bent. Staying here for one more breath. And we're actually going to switch one more time. So, draw both knees in towards your chest. Keep the right knee in. Extend and straighten that left leg straight out. Hands behind the right thighs. Extend that right leg straight up to the sky. Now release your hands from outside or behind your thighs and bring your arms up overhead. Interlace your fingers, all the fingers except your index fingers, so keep your index fingers straightened. And then send your arms to the inside edge of your right thigh. Lift the back of your head and your shoulders off the mat. So now we're adding a little bit of a core engagement here. So we have the same thing just as we had before, both legs straight. Now your arms are clasped on the inside edge of that right thigh, trying to keep the back of the head and the shoulders off the mat. Stay for one more breath, and then gently release. Hugging both knees into your chest, release the shoulders, back of the head to the mat. Hugging both knees in, we'll switch to the other side. So this time keep your left knee in, extend and straighten that right leg straight out. Hovering an inch or two off the mat, flexing both toes. And hold behind your left thigh, extend that left leg straight up to the sky. Again, if you want to keep that left knee bent, you can as we move forward. So now, extend the arms overhead, opposite clasp of the fingers on top, but extend the index fingers so they're pointing. And then lift your back of your head, shoulders off the mat, arms come to the inside edge of that left thigh. So we're still pushing that right heel away, trying to lift that left heel up to the sky. Try to keep the shoulders and the low back off the mat. Staying for one more breath, hug that navel down. And then gently release, hugging both knees into your chest. Release the shoulders, back of the head to the mat. Draw those knees in for one last time. And then we'll roll up to a tabletop. So if you're one that likes to hold onto the backs of your thighs, roll up and down your spine a couple times, keeping your chin tucked, you can do that. You can cross your legs and come forward into tabletop that way. Or if you're one that just likes to let your knees fall off to the side, you can press yourself up that way. Either way, meet me in a tabletop. Wrists directly underneath shoulders, knees underneath the hips, tops of the feet to the mat. Fingers nice and spread. Slight tuck of the chin, gazes up towards the top of your mat. Let's add our cow cats. So we'll inhale as we drop the navel, tailbone lifts, heart comes forward, look up. Exhale, round the back, shoulders separate, head hangs heavy, cat pose. Keep going on your breath, inhaling through your cow, tailbone lifts, heart forward, look up. Exhale, rounding through your cat. Two more on your breath. Use this as an opportunity to connect your breath to your movement. Maybe you come back to just your nostril breathing here. And meet me back in stillness in a nice neutral spine in your tabletop. Again, keeping the bottoms of the feet pressing down into the mat. Fingers are nice and spread. Hug that navel in and up. Try to separate your shoulders and draw them down your back, shoulders away from the ears. We'll add an arm and leg balance here. So start by extending the right arm straight out. Keep your shoulders and your pelvis just as they are. Right arm extends, palm faces in, pinky down, thumb up. And we'll add the left leg. So extend and straighten that left leg back. Flexing the left toes, this time we spin the inner left thigh in and up towards the sky to keep the heel pressing back and the knee facing down towards the mat. Keep hugging the navel in and up. Again, shoulders are parallel with the mat, pelvis is as well. Stay for 2 more breaths here. 1 more breath. And then gently release that right arm, release the left knee down, and we'll switch to the other side. So let's extend the left arm forward, pinky down, thumb up, keep the shoulders parallel with the mat, and now extend that right leg back. Same thing, pelvis and hips face down evenly as well. Flexing the right toes, and gently spinning that inner right thigh in and up towards the sky. Try to keep the thigh up at hip height, knee faces down towards the mat. Staying for 2 more breaths here. 1 more breath. Now gently release that left arm, release that right knee down. Now, we'll have the option to advance that. And if the advancement is a little too much for you, just repeat what we just did. So, again, start in your tabletop, knees underneath the hips, wrists directly below the shoulders. Start by extending that right arm forward. Keep the shoulders level. Extend that left leg back, just like we were before. So you can stay here, or if you'd like to advance, bend that left knee so the bottom of the left foot faces up towards the sky. And then reach your right arm back. Grab the outside of that ankle, or I should say the inside of the ankle of the foot. Or you can grab the foot itself. Now press your foot in towards your palm and try to lift your chest up to the sky. You're adding a slight back bend here, but don't let your belly drop, so you still hug that navel in and up. Shoulders are still squared forward, gaze is up, send the heart forward. Keep pressing that foot into the arm, staying for 1 more breath. And exhale, release, extending the arm straight, the leg straight. And then release the arm down, knee down. Resend yourself back into your tabletop. So, same thing for the other side. Extend the left arm forward, pinky down, thumb up. Right leg back, press back through that right heel. Lifting the thigh up to hip height, you can stay here. Or if you'd like, bend the right knee so the bottom of that right foot faces up towards the sky. And then extend that left arm back. Grab that right foot on the inside. And then press the bottom of that foot into your palm, opening the shoulder, but keeping the shoulder still squared forward. You can add a slight back bend, but again, keep hugging the navel in and up. Heart comes forward, gaze is forward. Staying for 1 more breath. And gently release, extending the arm and leg for just a breath. And exhale, release back down into your tabletop. Let's bring the big toes to touch, separate the knees out wide, and send the hips back toward your heels. Come into a child's pose. With the hips on the heels, release the forehead down to the mat or to a block. Arms can be extended straight out, or bring the arms back besides the feet with the palms facing up. Just take a couple deep breaths here and know that child's pose is always an option for practice that you can come back to. If you need time to regroup or catch your breath, or you need to just make sure that the audio is working and you've got your microphone turned on, do whatever you need to do to just regroup, recenter yourself. So stay for 1 more breath here. And now inhale as you lift your hips back up, lift your forehead back up. Now bring your knees together, keep your big toes touching, and then sit your hips back on your heels, this time with your torso up. So you have a couple different options for a seat here. You can keep the bottoms of your feet on the mat. If you're one that likes to curl the toes under, you can sit that way. If neither of those options work, just sit in a cross-legged seat. We're just working on the wrist here for a moment. So let's clasp the fingers together. Bring the bottoms of the wrist to touch, elbows close together. And we'll just gently start to move those wrists in a little bit of a rotation, like a figure eight or an infinity symbol here. Just really gentle movement here, so not too fast. And then begin to slow. Let's move in the opposite direction. Again, thanks Diana for making sure the audio sounds good. I think we're all good here. And come back to stillness. Let's release the clasp of your fingers. Bring the backs of your hands together, and then roll your fingers forward and back. The idea here is to try to keep the base of your wrist touching as you come through. Just do your wrist rolls in the first direction, and let's slow and let's go in the opposite direction. Alright, you can begin to slow. Just release your arms back down to the sides, and we'll come back into a tabletop. In your tabletop, shoulders over wrists, extend and straighten that left leg back, keeping the left toes down. Extend and straighten the right leg back, keeping the right toes down. Come right into your plank pose here. And then from your plank pose, lift your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. It's our first downward facing dog, so take your dog for a walk here for a couple breaths. Maybe you lift one heel and lift the other. You can lift one leg up in the air and lift the other. Just take a moment here to move and groove and try to loosen things up a little bit. 2 more breaths in your movement. And then meet me back in stillness in your downward facing dog. Arms are still shoulder width distance, feet are hips width distance, heels directly behind the center toes, pressing the chest back towards the thighs. Now gaze up towards your fingers, and you'll walk your hands closer to your feet by one handprint. So walk your right hand back, walk your left hand back, just one handprint so you have a shortened down dog here. Now generously bend your knees, so much so that your chest might rest on your thighs. And we're adding a twist here, so keeping your pelvis level and your shoulders level for now. Tent up on your right fingertips. Now send your right arm underneath into the outside edge of that left leg. You can grab onto the left shin, left ankle, outside of the left foot. And then adding your twist, turn from the navel to twist and look under that left arm. So now your right shoulder drops, but your hips are still parallel and level to the mat. Gaze can look up underneath that left arm to the sky. And if you'd like, you can start to straighten both legs, or maybe one. You can play around with it. Just try to keep your hips level. Just stay for one more breath. And gently release that right arm back to meet the left in your shortened down dog. We'll switch to the other side. So rebend your knees if they're not already. Tent up on your left fingertips. And then send your left arm underneath into the outside of that right leg. Again, hold on to the right shin, right ankle, or outside of that right foot. And then drop your left shoulder down and start to rotate from the navel up, turning to look up underneath that right arm. Again, if you'd like, you can start to straighten one or both legs, but try and keep your pelvis nice and neutral. Hips are still facing the ground evenly. Keep pressing down through that right hand. We'll stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release that left arm to meet the right arm. Walk your hands back out into your typical down dog here. And then inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees, exhale, walk your step to the top of the mat. Have your feet hips width distance. Stay in your forward fold here. Let's add a ragdoll, so we'll grab opposite elbows, let the head hang heavy in between both arms. You're still pressing down through all 4 corners of each foot. and gently releasing the inner thighs in and back. Try to release your head down, slightly tucking the chin in towards your chest. And if you'd like, you can sway from side to side. Knees can be bent here. Make this more of a lower back release than a hamstring stretch. Let's switch whichever forearm is on top, grab opposite elbows here. And keep swaying from side to side if you'd like, or you can just stay right in the middle. And then meet me back in stillness. Release the clasp of your elbows, let your head and your arms hang heavy. We'll come up to standing, but take our time here. So press down through your feet, release the inner thighs in and back, and start to roll up your spine one vertebrae at a time. Chin and head are the last things to arrive. Taking your time to come up. And stand up nice and tall. Let's roll those shoulders up and back a couple times here. And then begin to slow in opposite direction, back and forward. And just come back up to the top of your mat if you're not already there. Make sure your feet are hips width distance, arms down to the sides, palms face forward. Try to draw that tailbone down, lift the frontal hip points up. Broaden the collarbones, and draw the shoulders down your back. Take a nice deep inhale here. And exhale. Alright, let's inhale as we bring the arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Plant both palms on the mat. Step your right foot back, step your left foot back into your plank. Drop your knees down. Shift forward, bend the elbows, lower all the way to the mat, forehead to the mat. Tops of the feet come to the mat. Press down, lift on your inhale, your head and chest up into your baby cobra. And exhale, gently release, forehead down, curl the toes under. Press yourself up through plank pose with your knees down. And then lift your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Stay here for 3 breaths. Keep firming the triceps in. Pressing the heels back and down towards the mat. Chest draws back towards your thighs. Stay for 1 more breath. And then inhale as you gaze forward. Bend your knees, exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Feet hips width distance. Inhale, lift up halfway, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Press your feet into the mat. Come back up to standing. Inhale, arms out and up overhead. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. 1 more time here. Inhale, lift the arms out and up overhead. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Plant your palms, step both feet back into your plank pose. You can keep your knees down or up as you shift forward. Bend your elbows, lower all the way to the mat, all at once. Top to the feet to the mat, press your feet down. Inhale, lift up, baby cobra. Exhale, gently release. Curling the toes under, press up through plank pose with your knees down. And then lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Stay for 3 breaths in your down dog here. Try to press down through the base of each finger and each palm. Still spinning the inner thighs in and up towards the sky. Drawing the hips up to where the ceiling meets the wall. 1 more breath here, letting your head hang heavy. And now inhale as you gaze forward, and just listen carefully. Just shift forward slightly, and then drop your knees to the mat. Now, with your knees on the mat, make sure they're hips width distance. You can keep your toes curled, and have your hips lined up directly over your knees. So you may need to shift a little bit forward or a little bit back. Try and keep your hips over your knees here. And now, start to lower your chest down as you walk your hands further out. Keeping your forearms on the mat to start. And you can release your forehead down. We're coming into puppy pose. So either release your forehead down, or maybe your chin can come down, or maybe your chest rests down on the mat. But either way, arms are extended, but keep your hips directly over your knees. Forearms are on the mat. You're still hugging the triceps in. This is almost a variation of our downward facing dog here. So if downward dog is ever too much and you want something a little more intense than the tabletop, you can always come into down dog here. I'm sorry, you can always come into a puppy dog pose here instead of your down dog. Just stay for 2 more breaths here in your puppy pose. Just 1 more breath. Now begin to walk your hands back so that your wrists are underneath your shoulders. Let's curl the toes under, they're not already. Lift the hips up and back, come into your full down dog. And then we'll inhale as we gaze forward. Bend the knees, exhale, walker step to the top of the mat. Feet hips width distance, inhale, lift up halfway, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Press your feet into the mat, inhale, lift the arms out and up, overhead. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. All right, we're getting warmed up here. So this time, bring your big toes to touch, heels separate, you're still at the top of your mat. Same thing in our mountain pose here, so arms down to the sides to start. Releasing and lengthening the tailbone down toward your heels, trying to draw those frontal hip points up. With the palms facing forward, a nice external rotation of the shoulders, and try to soften those shoulders away from the ears. Take 1 more inhale here, and exhale. All right, let's come into our chair pose. So bend the knees, arms come forward, palms face each other. With the arms extended straight, try to have the biceps up next to the ears, but reduce any arching or rounding in your low back, so you still want a nice long spine. Take a peek at your toes, make sure you can see your toes. If your knees are in the way, start to shift your hips back. And keep firming your hips in towards each other, really engaging those glutes and outer glutes. Now take 1 more nice deep inhale. And then exhale right into your forward fold. So hinge forward, forward fold, release your arms down. Inhale, lift up halfway, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. So plant your palms on the mat. Keep your left foot forward, extend your right leg back. So you're in your high lunge here, right knee is off the mat. Release your right arm to the inside edge. Release your right arm directly underneath your shoulder. Palm or fingertips can come down to the mat, or you can use a block underneath your right arm. Now keep this left knee tracking over that left ankle. Extend the left arm out to the side, palm faces down. Take a nice deep inhale to lengthen. And exhale, twist and open up, raising that left arm to the sky. As the left arm and fingertips rise to the sky, rotate that left arm so the palm faces forward, so the pinky side edge rolls forward. Keep firming the legs in toward each other to give you stability. We're holding this pose for a couple breaths. Maybe you can reduce the amount of effort in that right arm, so maybe you can lift those fingertips or that palm off the mat. Add a little balance here. And just stay for 1 more breath. And then gently release that left arm back down to the mat. This time bring your left arm to the inside edge of that left foot. Release the back heel, that right heel down to the mat. We're coming into our warrior 2 pose here. So right toes are slightly forward, left toes still face toward the front edge of your mat. We want heel to arch alignment, so make sure you can draw a line from your heel of your front foot to the arch of your back foot. Press down through your feet, raise the right arm up to the sky, and lift yourself up on an inhale. Come into your warrior 2 pose here. So checking into your warrior 2 pose, again, make sure this left knee tracks over that left ankle. Firm this outer left hip in. It's easy to let it sink out, so we really want to firm that in. Press back through that right heel. Arms are up at shoulder height, palms face down. You can turn your neck to look over those left fingertips. Staying here for 2 breaths in our warrior 2 pose. Really start to soften the shoulders away from the ears, but arms are still nice and firm and engaged. Adding our side angle here. So keep the lower body just as it is. Extend that left arm forward as much as you can. When you can't go any further, release the left arm to the inside edge of that left thigh. Right arm up to the sky, again, palm faces towards the front edge of the mat. In our side angle, you have some options. You can stay here. If you like to release the left arm to the inside edge, fingertips or palm can come to the mat or to a block, or you can bring that left arm to the outside edge of that left thigh. Either way, you're really firming that left hip in. You're not letting it sink out, and you're pressing back through that right outer foot. Last option with your right arm, if you want, you can extend it overhead, bicep next to ear. Now the palm faces down towards the mat. Stay for one more breath. And now press down through your feet and lift back up into your warrior two. And then spiral both arms forward and down. Come up on that back heel. Send that left foot back to meet the right foot. Knees down or up as you shift forward, bending your elbows, lowering all the way to the mat, all at once. Now stay low here. Bring the tops of your feet to the mat. Extend both arms behind you. And then clasp your hands behind your back. So fingertips clasp with your thumbs resting on your low back or your tailbone here. If you can't clasp your fingers, grab opposite elbows here. And if that doesn't work, just place the palms on your low back. So we'll add a modified locust pose here. Just like our baby cobra, we'll press the tops of the feet into the mat. The knees will start to lift off the mat. Try to release the tailbone down toward your heels and draw those frontal hip points up to the front bottom ribs. Broaden the collarbones, send the shoulders down your back. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale, lift your head up and your chest up, drawing the arms down your back. So whatever way you have, try to draw the elbows in towards each other and draw the fingertips away and down your back. Keep pressing the feet into the mat. Send your heart forward. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release the forehead down. Release the clasp of your hands. Bring the wrists back to the sides of your ribs. Fingers are forward, wrists are back. Make sure your wrists are directly underneath your elbows. You may need to look. Now curl the back toes under, listen carefully. Press the heels back, so again the knees start to lift off the mat. So toes are curled under, pressing those heels back. We're pressing right up into plank. So take a nice deep inhale. And exhale as you press straight up right into plank. So shoulders over wrists. And then let's lift the hips up and back into our downward facing dog. In your down dog, stay for a couple breaths. Keep pressing the chest back towards the thighs. Let your head hang heavy for one more breath. Now let's inhale as we gaze forward. Bend the knees, exhale, walker step to the top of the mat. Big toes touch, heels slightly separated. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Stay low in your forward fold. We'll switch to the other side. So plant both palms on the mat. Keep your right foot forward. Step your left foot back this time. I'm just going to turn so you can see me. So with your left leg back, keeping the right knee on top of that right ankle. Make sure your left foot is on the left side, right foot is on the right side. That'll give you more stability. Left arm roots underneath that left shoulder. Palm or fingertips come to the mat or to the block. This time extend that right arm out to the side, palm faces down. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale, twist and turn from that navel up, raising the right arm up to the sky. The pinky side edge rolls forward so the palm faces towards the top of the mat. Try to stack your shoulders, maybe revolve a little bit more, hugging the legs in towards each other. Now you have the opportunity to soften your grip from your left hand. Maybe you raise your fingertips or your palm off the mat or your block for a moment or two. Staying for one more breath. Release that left hand back down. Release the right hand down to the inside edge of that right foot this time. Drop that left heel down. Left toes are slightly forward of that left heel. Warrior 2 feet. So heel toe your right foot in so that you have heel to arch alignment. Right arm to the inside edge. Left arm up to the sky, press down through your feet, and inhale, lift up into your warrior 2 pose. Make sure that right knee tracks over that right ankle, directly behind those center toes. Arms are shoulder height, palm faces down. Shoulders are square with the long edge side of your mat. And you can turn your neck to look over those right fingertips. Staying here for 2 breaths. Keep pressing down through that right heel. Press back through the outer edge of that left foot. Keep firming that outer right thigh in. Now we'll add our side angle pose, so keep the low body just as it is. Extend that right arm straight out, and you can't go any further. Release the right arm to the inside edge of that right thigh. Left arm to the sky, pinky edge rolls forward, palm faces forward. You have your options to stay here, or release the right fingertips or palm to the mat, to the inside edge, or to the outside edge of that right thigh, that right foot. But yes, that right thigh keeps firming, and it's easy to let it sit out. With the left fingertips to the sky, you have the option to release the left arm forward, bicep next to ear. This time the palm faces down. You can turn your neck to look up underneath that left bicep. Try to stack your shoulders and stay for one more breath. And now press down through your feet and inhale, lift back up into your warrior two. And then spiral both arms forward and down to either side of that right foot. Come up on that back left heel. Send that right foot to meet your back foot. And knees down or up. Shift forward into your Vinyasa, lowering all the way to the mat. Top to the feet to the mat. Inhale, lift up into your baby cobra. And exhale, gently release, forehead down. Curl the toes under. And lift yourself all the way up into your down dog. Come through plank if you need to. Just stay for 3 breaths in your down dog. Keep pressing your chest back towards your thighs. Lifting your hips up to the sky where the ceiling meets the wall. One more breath here. And now, again, listen carefully, so we'll shift forward, release our knees to the mat. Keep the toes curled under, and now release your forearms down to the mat. So elbows come down right where your wrists were. So now we're in this modified tabletop with our forearms down. So the hands and the elbows are still shoulder width distance. With the toes curled under, start to press the heels back, start to straighten the legs, and lift your hips up to the sky. So now it's kind of like a down dog on our forearms. Walk your feet a little bit closer to your elbows so that you're now in your dolphin. The idea here is to have your shoulders directly over your elbows and let your head hang heavy so that the gaze comes back in between your feet or your legs. So you want to release the back of the neck, slight tuck of the chin, but your head is still hovering off the mat, so it's not on the mat. Now you can stay here in dolphin, or else we'll add a little bit of a leg extension and lift. So we'll lift the right leg up to hip height, flexing the right toes, spinning the right thigh in and up. Maybe lift a little bit higher than hip height. Your choice, but again, keep your pelvis nice and neutral, parallel to the mat. Stay for one more breath. Now let's release that right foot back down to meet the left. Let's switch to the other side. So now lift your left leg up, start at hip height, flexing the left toes. You can stay here or maybe lift a little bit higher. Keep flexing the left foot. Pelvis is still neutral to the mat. Lift up a little bit higher. And exhale, gently release that foot down. Walk your foot back out. And now we'll come into plank pose on our forearms. So you're walking your feet back and then lowering your hips so that they're level with your shoulders. Now spine stays nice and long, so a slight tuck of the chin, but gazes up towards the top of your mat. So your neck is engaged, not letting your head hang here. Pressing your forearms into the mat, try to separate your shoulders. Stay for one more breath. And now everyone drop to your knees. Shift your hips back towards your heels. Bring the tops of your feet to the mat, big toes touch, and come back into your Balasana child's pose here. Make it your child's pose if you like your knees together or separate. Just take 3 deep breaths in your child's pose. Just one more deep breath here. And just start to lift your hips up, lift your forehead up. Now curl the toes under, lift your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. And from here, walk your feet up towards your hands. So walking your feet up towards your hands, coming into your forward fold at the top of your mat. This time, walk your feet out to the width of your mat. Have your ankles slightly in and your toes slightly turned out so they're at an angle. So heels in, toes out. And now have your block nearby in case you need it. We'll come into a Malasana squat. So start to bend your knees and sit your hips back, lowering your hips down. If you need a block, you can place a block underneath your sit bones here to sit down onto. Otherwise, you can sit without the block. You want a nice long spine here, having your arms to the inside edges of your knees. Bring your hands to touch in prayer pose and try and draw the thumbs toward your sternum. So you can gently draw the knees in towards the triceps and the knees press the triceps out. Try to keep the whole entire foot on the mat. So if you need to sit on a block to do that, I'd rather you have that option. Create a nice long spine, so imagine there's a string at the center of your chest lifting you up towards the sky. Stay for one more breath. And now release the arms down back to the mat and start to lift your hips back up into your forward fold. Bring your feet back in together. Feet touch, heels slightly separate. Let's inhale as we lift up halfway, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Coming into our chair pose, so knees bend, arm comes forward, palms face each other. And then stand up, straighten the legs, hands down through the center of your chest and down to the sides. Take a couple deep breaths here. All right, we have one more sequence we're going through. This one will be fun, has a little bit of balancing and a little bit of a challenge, so I think we're nice and warmed up, ready to go. So begin at the top of your mat again. Big toes touch, heels separate. Arms down to the sides, soften the shoulders away from the ears. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Let's inhale, bring the arms up overhead, palms face each other. And exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Plant both palms, step your right foot back, step your left foot back. Knees down or up as you shift forward, bend your elbows, lower all the way to the mat. Top to the feet, come to the mat. Inhale, lift up into your back bend, either baby cobra, or if you want to straighten your arms and lift your knees off the mat, upward facing dog. Either way, hugging the ankles in towards each other, keeping the shoulders over the wrists, tailbone releases down towards the heels. One more breath. And release your knees down, release your chest and forehead, everything back down to the mat. Curl the toes under, press yourself up into down dog. Come through plank pose with your knees down first if you need to. So in our down dog, we'll lift that right leg up and back to hip height, flexing the right toes, knee faces down towards the mat. Exhale as you bend the knee into your chest, shift forward, step the right foot up to the top of the mat. Make sure the right foot's on the right side, left foot is on the left side. Right knee tracks over that right ankle. Press down through your feet and inhale, lift your arms up into your high crescent pose here. Palms face each other. You can have a slight bend in that back knee, but keep pressing the heels back, that heel back. Draw the tailbone down, lift those frontal hip points up. And now, we're adding our eagle arms. So begin by extending the arms straight out, shoulder height, palms face each other. And then wrap your left arm below, right arm on top. A couple options for eagle pose. You can hug yourself. You can keep the elbows stacked, bring the backs of the hands to touch. Or wrap even further, bring the palms to touch. Either way, wherever you are, try and draw the shoulders down, keeping that right knee tracking over that right ankle. Now we're shifting forward and we're balancing on our right leg. So start to shift forward, press up off the back heel, and bring the left knee up into your chest. Coming into full eagle pose, send the left knee over the right and start to sink your hips down. So the left knee is on top of the right, sinking the hips down. Try to send your hips back, but keep your elbows up, lowering into your full eagle pose here. Some of you may be able to wrap even further, that left foot behind the right shin. But either way, keep that left knee on top of the right knee. Hug the legs in towards each other. Keep lifting those elbows up, releasing the shoulders down your back. One more breath here in your full eagle pose. And exhale, release your arms, release your legs down. Come into your forward fold. Let's inhale as we lift up halfway. And exhale, forward fold, planting both palms down. Step both feet back into your plank pose. Knees down or up as you shift forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Now stay low. Bring the tops of your feet to the mat. Same option as before. So we're extend our arms back, clasp our fingers behind our back, have the thumbs to our low back or our tailbone. If you like to grab your elbows or place your hands to your low back, you have that option as well. So this time we'll have the option to also raise our feet off the mat. So start by pressing the feet into the mat so the knees lift off. Press the hips down, start to engage the abdominal muscles. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale, lift your head up, chest up, and maybe lift your feet up, lifting your thighs up, drawing your elbows down, drawing your fingertips away from your shoulders, broadening the collarbone, send the heart forward. Keep hugging the ankles in towards each other. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release everything down, forehead to the mat. Place your hands back beside your ribs, fingers forward, wrists back. Make sure your wrists are underneath your elbows. You might need to check. We'll curl the toes under. Press the heels back so the knees lift off the mat. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, press straight up into your plank pose. And lift your hips up and back into your down dog. All right, other side. Let's lift that left leg up and back to hip height. Flexing the toes, knee faces down. Take an exhale as you draw the left knee into your chest. Send that left foot to the top of the mat. Left foot on the left side, right foot on the right side. Left knee tracks over that left ankle. Press down through your feet and inhale. Lift your torso up, arms up overhead, high crescent. Again, palms face each other. Soften those shoulders down your back, away from your ears. Slight bend in that back knee if you need to, but press that right heel back. Release the tailbone down, draw those frontal hip points up. And now we'll add our eagle pose again this time. So extend the arms out wide, palms face each other, shoulder height, or palms face forward, shoulder height. And then wrap your arms, this time right arm below, left arm on top. Options to either hug yourself, keep the elbows stacked, bring the backs of the hands to touch, or maybe wrap a little bit further, palms touch. Keep drawing those elbows up and you know where we're going. So take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, press up off that back foot, shift forward, draw the right knee up into your chest. Now, send the right knee over to the left side, release the right knee on top of the left knee, and start to lower your hips down. As you lower your hips, start to send your hips back. Keep your spine nice and long though, and try and raise the elbows up as you release the shoulders down your back. Again, some of you may be able to wrap that right foot behind the left shin, but keep hugging the legs in towards each other, right knee stacked on top of the left. Stay for one more breath. Now press down through that left foot, lift yourself back up, release both arms, release both feet, and exhale, come down into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine, and exhale, forward fold again. So stay in your forward fold. Let's heel toe our feet out to the width of the mat again. Come back into your Malasana squat. So knees bend, let the hips fall. Bring your hands to the center of your chest. Elbows into both sides of the knees. Press your palms in towards each other. Try to draw the thumbs towards your sternum. Lift your chest up to the sky. Staying for 2 breaths here in your Malasana pose, with or without your block. One more breath. And now we'll stay low. We'll release our arms behind us. And we'll just let our sit bones fall. Bring the knees in close. And we'll gently fall onto our backs, or lower onto our backs, nice and slow. So take your time lowering onto your back. And once you're on your back, walk your feet back underneath your knees. Keep your feet and your knees hips width distance. So with the heels underneath your knees, arms down to the sides, palms face down, we'll come into our bridge pose. So press the feet down into the mat, press the arms down. On your inhale, lift your hips up, pelvis up, chest up into your bridge pose. So keep engaging the quadriceps. and the hamstrings. Try to spin the inner thighs in and down, keeping the knees hips width distance, lengthening the tailbone down towards the backs of your knees. Try and lift your chest up a little bit higher. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release from the top of your spine. Low back is the last to arrive. Stay just where we are. We're coming into bridge pose one more time. Option to clasp our fingers behind our back. So press your feet down into the mat. Press your hands down. Inhale as you lift your hips up, pelvis up, chest up, back into your bridge pose. Again, lengthen that tailbone down towards your knees, the backs of your knees. And you can stay here if you'd like. Roll your triceps under. Extend your arms underneath. Clasp the fingers together. Maybe roll the triceps under a little bit more. And the goal is to keep your wrists together as you try and draw your pinky side edge towards the mat. Really lifting up here. We'll stay for 2 more breaths. 1 more breath here. And then gently release the arms if you have them clasped. Lower from the top of your spine, middle of your back. Low back is the last to arrive. Let the knees fall into touch. Heel toe your feet out to the width of the mat, just like we started class. And just stay here for a couple breaths. Now gently let your knees rock from side to side. And come back to stillness in the center. Heel toe your feet back to hips width distance. Separate your knees to hips width distance. Draw your knees into your chest. And we'll add a spinal twist. So if you're one that likes to keep your knees and your feet together, you can let your knees fall off to the right side to start. Otherwise, if you'd like, you can draw your right knee on top of your left knee. Again, maybe wrap that right foot under the left shin. And then shift your hips off to the side, to the left, just an inch or two, and then let your knees fall off to the right side. So just a little more of an advanced spinal twist, but if you just want to keep your knees stacked, let them fall off to the right side here. Now arms both up at shoulder height, palms face up. And try to keep that left shoulder rooted. Maybe you turn your neck to look over those left fingertips. Let's stay here for 2 deep breaths. One more deep breath. Now gaze comes back up to center. Bring your knees back up to center. Unwind if they're bound. Hug your knees into your chest and recenter your hips. And now we'll switch to the other side. To either keep your knees and your feet together, or if you want to draw your left knee on top of your right, wrap your feet if you'd like. Shift your hips off to the right an inch or two, and then drop your knees to the left side. Try and keep your knees up at hip height at least. And then extend your arms shoulder height, either to a T or a field goal post. Turning your neck to look over those right fingertips. Staying here for 2 more deep breaths. And then gently bring your gaze back up towards the sky. Bring your knees back up to center. Unwind if you're bound. Draw your knees back into your chest one last time. Recenter your hips. Let's come into happy baby pose. So separate your knees out wide. Bottoms of the feet face up towards the sky. You can grab the outsides of your thighs, outsides of your shins. If you grab the outsides of your feet, have your elbows to the insides of your knees. Keep your low back rooted on the mat. And draw your feet and your knees down towards the mat, keeping your ankles over your knees. And if you'd like, you can start to rock from side to side. And let's come back to stillness in the center. Release the clasps of our legs or our feet. Draw our knees back into our chest. One nice squeeze here, so lift your head up. Lift your shoulders up into a nice egg shape. Squeeze everything in together. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And exhale, extend. Straighten the legs. Extend the arms overhead. Point the toes. Fingertips stretch away from your body. One last full body stretch here. Stretch everything. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And exhale, release the arms down to the sides. Arms long, palms face up. Let the knees and the feet fall out to the side as you settle into your final pose of practice here, your Shavasana pose. Just know that your Shavasana is the time to release. Release any bit of tension you have in the body. Maybe you're still clasping your fingers or your toes. Maybe you can release your jaw or your brow. And you have the option to soften your eyes or close your eyes completely as you settle in. Just let your body be heavy and melt into the mat here as you finally release any last little bit of control you have over your breath. Just be. And just start to bring some awareness back into your body. And wiggle your fingers and your toes. Rotate your wrists and your ankles. And switch directions in those rotations. And then come back to stillness for one last breath here on your back. And gently begin to bend your knees in towards your chest as you roll over to one side of your body. Let your top arm rest on your bottom arm. Top knee rest on your bottom knee. Stay for a breath here on your side. And try to keep your eyes softened or your gaze closed as you use your top arm to press yourself up to a comfortable cross-legged seat to complete your practice today. In your cross-legged seat, you can rest your palms on tops of your knees. Palms can face up, or you can bring your hands into the center of your chest. Let's all take a nice deep inhale in together. Through the mouth, exhale. Thank you for joining me for your practice today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in each one of you. Thank you. Peace. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me on this Friday night. I hope I didn't keep anyone too long. My apologies for the technical difficulties at the start. And thank you, Diana, for saving the day. Oh, thank you for checking it. Yeah, I really appreciate you. You really, you really saved class today. I would have gone through the whole class without having my mic on or with the weird echoing going on. So I'm glad we figured that out. Thank you. If you have any questions, always let me know. Hopefully, you got a nice, good body and mind workout in, and you're ready to enjoy your weekend. So, as always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments or in the chat or in the video description. You can reach out to me there. Also, if you'd like to donate, that donation link is always in the description to support or fund or find more information about racial and social justice. So, again, thank you all so much for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Again, Diana, thank you so much for saving the day. My name is Daniel with Daniel Lee Yoga. See you next time. Peace.